said.
Yeah, this track was not made...
Expert developer commentary.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily made for this level, but I threw it in. And I think that's if I remember correctly, putting it in was when it was like, oh my gosh, I know how this is going to go now. It's going to be
what she said!
It's going to be a ramp up from the Wendigo reveal. It's just going to be a ramp up in action until the very end. And so now we have the second layer coming in, where the action ramps up even more. Now you you can do the
yeah, the music builds up here as you're going up, and like it turns in.
Now we've gone from what is essentially a horror level to just like balls out action. You know, stuff's exploding here. Guy, you know. Yeah.
And we worked on this room a lot too.
Yeah.
Remember, I wanted really to put a speed power up, and we put it in the cage, and it falls down like so. It's still so. It's like wee. And making all this destructible, and then opening the side doors. The silo with the stairs, which is a Stalker thing, right?
No, actually, that wasn't. That was just a cool silo. I think if anything, it was more like Half-Life inspired.
The thing we had to fix with that was back when we had the bumpy stairs. Remember before we smoothed out the stairs, and you'd go up that silo, it'd be like
yeah,
thing over like a road with really bad terrain.
Yeah, and as I don't know if you can hear it, but as soon as you kill the final enemy, it slams back to the first action track.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just this is another one of my favorite levels in the game. I'm just so happy with how it turned out.
Yeah,
and by the way, that's the start of the level back down there, just as a fun little thing.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh wow! I never know that.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Go back to that. Let me see that.
I just ended the level. Sorry.
That's cool. That's cool. That's nuts. I gotta go look at that again. I never noticed that.
Yeah.
Good level. Look at this guy with his good level design.
Well, it probably should have been more visible. If you guys never noticed it, then like it should have been made more. You know.
You're keeping things interesting, you know, a year later.
Yeah, true.
And this always looked like the first level of Quake to me.
Yeah, that's fair. It's got a bit of a Quake 2 lighting palette going on with the...
Quake 2, never heard of it.
Yeah. This one, I think this was actually a early level. I can't remember if this was started during episode 1, or like during that whole time or not. I think parts of it were. This turret is just ripped directly out of Chasm the Rift, by the way.
David likes his Chasm the Rift.
I do. So, yeah. Let's go out here. You can kind of see out. Now this vent doesn't make any logical sense, but it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. Wasn't I supposed to get a double-barreled shotgun? I'm probably in a secret that I've missed. I'm not getting all of the secrets, obviously. I think this was Dave-insisted set dressing, right?
Yeah, because it tends to be pretty empty, and then when you went outside, it was really empty, and I really liked...
Oh, the outside is definitely, was
yeah, and this room was a callback to the first room, where you go in and you got the three leathernecks coming at you.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you could pick up that brick.
Yeah.
Of course you can pick up a brick. You gotta hit...
I didn't know it. Like, I'd never seen that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. It's just random,
cool.
Random brick. There we go. And now we have... This is the first time in the game you see actual sunlight, like daylight.
Yeah, you had made these cool pillar things.
Yeah.
And I was like, place more of those. This used to be really empty, and
yeah,
I really like where you get the lens flare off the stuff. And I was like, a lot of people still have trouble with this area, and I'm like...
It's a hard area. I think it's the hardest encounter in the game up to this point.
I mean, it's just, you know, people need to learn how to get good and move.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta... So the thing I like about this area, you have to... it forces you to prioritize targets.
Yes,
Obviously, the red mages have to go first, because they have the homing fireballs. The welders you can knock off as, you know, they fire fast and they use them as grenades. And then you don't really have to care about the wizard, the white wizard that you see.
Yeah.
But also the turrets. Always focus on the turrets.
This was a bad idea to come up here. I forgot about that.
Use the hunting rifle on them. Prioritize.
Yeah. I'm gonna just get rid of these guys first. There we go.
hide. Just hide behind the thing for 5 seconds. Go regen your health.
Yeah. Regen my overshield. Oh, and the hunting rifle does have Doom logic, where the recoil, well, the first shot is 100% accurate, and then it gets more inaccurate very quickly after that.
I will be right back 1 second, guys.
All right. Yeah, this area was immensely improved by adding the set dressing. That was a thing that I...
And then I also made you redo... I made you... stuff
What?
and add stuff to the sides of the walls, because it was just so, like... Nah, it was just, like... you did not line anything up. And I've been laid off you a lot for the texture alignment in Dusk, because you still can, but, like, for this level, with all these windows, I'm like, can the buildings look like buildings?
Yeah, so a word about the texture alignment in Dusk, actually. So part of the... It was within my capability... It was within my power to make everything in Dusk perfectly aligned, but it was not at all practical. Because of how you have to align stuff in Pro Builder, which is that... Good lord, forgot about him. Yeah, as you can see, I'm low on health here. And that's, like, it's a, and that hasn't been the case in any other part of the game. So, yeah, this is a pretty significant jump in difficulty compared to the rest of the game. But, yeah, like I said, it's not a brush-based tool. So anytime you see, like all of these pillars are separate objects, for instance. And if you want to have a manageable mesh, basically, you have to have a lot of... You have to divide it up into separate objects. The problem is that in the version of Pro Builder, at least I was using, you could not automatically stitch textures together on separate objects. And in fact, I actually wasn't, because of some documentation weirdness, I wasn't even aware that you could automatically stitch textures at all until much later in development. The problem essentially is that if you have two things that are separate meshes, you can't align the textures on them. So that's why you'll see that's part of the reason you'll see some texture aligning weirdness. What you could do is you could manually align them, but then that gets into the how important is this really when we have, I have to make 33 levels and ship this game. Is it really going to be that important if these two things don't line up completely? And that's where we ended up with texture alignment in Dusk. Like here, for instance.
Okie dokie, I back.
Okay, like here, I think in this case,
been talking about texture alignment.
yeah, or like here, this isn't completely aligned. So
Yeah, this, I mean, it's fine. And yeah, so this level's got a bunch of hard sections. That the fuck you turret around the corner, fuck you.
yeah,
And then when we drop the floor out and stuff, you've got to
Yeah.
fight the wind. Yeah, this level's actually, I guess, is pretty hard. But it's the Thresher. We're trying to keep you out of the Thresher. Well, originally it was like he's in the machine, stop him, and
that's the later level.
Yeah. And then we're like, we want him in the thing, and then more Wendigo.
Oh yeah, Jacob's motivations changed during
Originally it was like, no, stop him. Then it was like, let him come. Because
Yeah.
once we figured out the story to the end, we went back and redid how some of that stuff went.
Alright, and the one nice thing about this level is it does loop fairly well. Like you have
Favorite
it
weapon?
loops.
For me, it's the hunting rifle. Just the super satisfying.
Not the double shotguns?
No.
Oh,
That's
interesting.
just you.
Yeah, I think dual shotguns would be my second favorite, but yeah, I like the hunting rifle. It's super satisfying.
Yeah, the hunting rifle is really fun. What am I stuck? Oh, yeah, bench.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
I just thought it was a fun idea to have it like they worship this horrible grinding machine. So there are like some pews and an altar or a pulpit there.
Yeah, and I had you add some text to the wall there and stuff. Like, all hail the
Oh,
great...
hell, the great Threther, yeah.
And then the rat that destroys everybody's Duskmare run.
Oh yeah, we'll get to him in a second.
Yeah.
Oh, and these turrets actually do have flinch time. Like, you can stun lock them with a rapid fire weapon, so that makes them a little easier to deal with.
Yeah.
This is based on some, but
I like that you put a blue light there instead of a green light, like every... trying to tell you where to go.
Yeah.
So this is still kind of hard to find because it's like it's hard to like what do you think?
There he is. There's the.
Oh god, that fucker.
Yeah, this one was maybe not the best pathing.
Yeah.
Although people do deal with it, so.
Yeah, people figure it out. You know, we don't get a lot of complaints, and we changed this a bunch too.
Yeah.
I really liked. So you stop that, and there's the secret there. So yeah, let's just go into this machine. And this, I remember when you did this, because originally it didn't have the moving stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those were created for Crypt of the Flesh.
Yeah, and then we added it here because I wanted to go back. One of the things we did when we went back is we added, stuff like this to make the stuff more believable. And I think this looks like so much better now than it did before. It was just static. And originally there was Wendigos down here, which I think was my idea.
Yeah,
and
people hated it.
Like, people fucking hated it. I was like, it's too small of an area to fight them.
Yeah. By the way, this is one of the few places in Dusk where you can't backtrack after reaching the end of a level.
That's true, yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah. But there's, so we put rats instead. It's like, okay, if you don't like Wendigos, you get fucking rats. Fuck you.
And I'm not sure what practically this part of the machine does, but it looks cool.
Did the subtitles pop
up?
Oh,
yeah, they did.
No, yeah, subtitles popped up.
Yeah. I've never actually played with subtitles yet. And yeah, and it ended up being so much better. And now the fall breaks your flashlight.
Yeah. Oh, someone said they would love to hear someone gush about Chasm the Rift. Chasm the Rift is what originally inspired Dusk way back years ago. So.
Yeah. How did you first come up with the idea to do the flashlight breaky thing and use that as a mechanic?
I think the main reason was that. So there's a problem with the Dusk flashlight. Let's start there.
Okay.
The problem is that there is no reason for no practical gameplay reason for the player not to have it on all the time.
Yeah.
We actually tried putting in a battery and people hated it. Yeah. And it actually makes a lot of sections in Dusk look worse than they're supposed to because it kind of blows out the lighting and stuff like that. So in here, if I remember correctly, the main reason was because I had all of this cool, atmospheric lighting and silhouettes and stuff going on. I'm just like, I don't want... People are just going to turn their flashlight on, and it's just going to blow out the lighting, and it's going to look terrible, and let's just break it. That'll also help make the machine feel, scarier. Because this level's supposed to feel a little scary. You're in this giant, horrible, mulching machine, basically. So, you're supposed to feel uncomfortable. I think I was... While designing this level, I was listening to 9 Inch Nails and going and looking up pictures of, the cut scenes from Event Horizon that they cut because they were too messed up.
You're lying.
Well, I've never seen the movie, and I need to see it at some point. So it's, the headspace I was in here is it's just, industrial and horrifying and, gory and blah, blah, blah. And that's what this level's supposed to be. So, your flashlight's off, you're navigating by just silhouettes and, stuff like that. Now you have this Half-Life...
Well, what we realized is that you can, the stream...
Oh, is the stream conking out?
I have to reload it. Let's see.
Okay.
It's okay. You're back.
Okay.
And also you can navigate by shooting.
Yes, that too.
Make for a great
They
flashlight.
make light. Oh, someone said they like the particles there. Yeah, the particles were meant in that tunnel back there. They were meant to make it feel like it's like you're somewhere where it's rotting. The color. It was supposed to feel like sort of. Like that. This thing right here, we just ripped that out of Dead Space, basically. I love the spine architecture of the, engineering deck, I think? It has that one silhouette of just, this spine machine, so I'm like, I'm gonna do that!
Yeah.
So I did.
And, did we go by the Save Us?
Yep, that was Dave's idea.
My brilliant idea to get players to save the game is to write save on the fucking wall. And it works. I did it twice. We do it there. Because anywhere you can die fast and lose progress, I'm like, we have to remind players to save.
I did it there,
and then also we do it before Mama. It says save yourself. And I've seen every time a streamer goes up to that, they go, "Oh yeah, I should probably save my game." I'm like, yeah,
I'm really surprised that worked. Honestly, I didn't think it would, but it is.
Yeah, me too.
This is
where's
also
my
the
fucking game award.
yeah. This is also the first time in the game.
I do.
If I remember correctly, this is the first time that you have completely red light in the game. Like, this isn't it. It's not tinted orange or anything. It's just completely 100% red light.
This was always a weird set. We also had that spot down here where you can get Infinus stuck for a while.
Did we fix that?
Yeah, we fixed it.
We did, yeah. This is just supposed to feel like you're in a giant engine of some sort. The idea is this in here, this is part of the machine. This is like a blood chute or something. The wall's broken here, so
And also with
in
the
here
key,
is
I think me and my plausibility, I was like, how did that key get down there? And you're like, well, we can't put another fucking dead soldier down here.
Yeah.
I think you add like blood.
there's
dripping.
blood.
Yeah,
You can barely see it, but it's there.
but, like,
Yeah.
the key like
came, like,
fell
from there.
from the grates above or something.
Yeah.
Like someone
Oh,
dropped it.
yeah. I remember
So
this
it's like,
conversation.
Yeah.
Someone dropped. Yeah, because I'm insane. I'm like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it aided in the game, I think. So, but yeah, in here, this broken wall right here is supposed to be like, now you're in the in here is like the internal workings of the machine. You're seeing like, you know, engine parts or whatever, and then you get the red key, which is in there for some reason. Who knows? Come out here, and it's just into this. Who knows what this machine's even really doing? I mean, the canon idea is that this all of the blood and stuff that's made in this machine is what is piped into Blood and Bone for that concrete altar there in Blood and Bone. That's the idea. But I mean, who knows really what this whole big machine is for? Because if you're just mulching up people, you just need really one thing to do that. But you know, it's a cool level. Very Dead Space inspired in some ways, you know, like the spine architecture and just having these like really uncomfortable industrial horror looking things everywhere.
And originally, didn't we originally want it so, I wanted for the welders to come out first, so you shoot them and they go fly backward into the soldiers.
Oh, was it? I don't remember that.
I forget.
And now you get a
then
flashlight.
Then we give you your flashlight
Yeah.
back. And
Press
then
that.
whose idea was it to put the scientist on the toilet?
Me. It's a Duke Nukem thing. So this, right here, this is just supposed to be the most disgusting bathroom in the world, basically. Scale's a bit messed up, but scale is always messed up in Dusk. So it's a bathroom that's inside a horrible gore machine, and there's also garbage with flies, and it's just like there's this green. It's just the worst bathroom in the world, basically. Yeah. Someone was drinking beer on the toilet, I guess. It's garbage. There's I think... Oh, what level is it in? Is it in, I think one of the episode 3 levels where... Oh, it's... Of course it is. It's in, Well, maybe it's not. I don't know. We'll see. We'll get there.
Even
yeah.
evil scientists have to Duke.
Yeah, exactly. This is one of the few places in Dusk where I remembered that you have a slide, and I should give you a reason to slide under things. Yeah. Listen here, again, just, you know, big, horrible machine things. I did the sound that's going in there. I don't know what that sound is. It's just weird and terrible.
Yeah. That's a really good one.
Yeah. And... yeah, I like this level, actually. I think this one is maybe the most confusing level in the game as far as layout goes.
Really?
I think
Yeah,
so.
I've seen some people get lost here, especially
Yeah.
because we open the thing and they have to go to the floor.
Yeah, but also that's fitting for what the level is supposed to express. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this... Show him. Ah, we're sacrificing ourselves for the machine. Ah.
Yeah, and this one I like it when we redid this and that's
Yeah.
I like let's show them like a bunch of guys getting chopped up, and then when we had all the new gore textures and stuff, this looked a
Yeah.
lot better.
Yeah,
Which
because originally
all
there was
came
only
about from
one, and it
working
looked
on-
bad.
Yeah, from working on Crypt of the Flesh. Yeah, originally
Yeah.
it just looked like spaghetti on the floor. And this
Yeah,
part, which
but oh, we'll
like,
get to that. A couple.
Like we should have just thrown the whole fucking thing out.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. First, oh yeah, so this, I think it fits the theme of what the level's trying to express, which is just you're lost in this terrible, terrible place that you don't want to go through. Also, there's the spine architecture back there. In here,
hey,
this is
Sebby.
some ribcage looking stuff. Essentially, there's a bunch of parts about this level that are supposed to be like sort of human internal organs, but expressed with metal, because it's a big, it's a big eating machine. And now this part here. This is probably the worst part of the whole game. This is a part where Dave and I both had separate ideas for how this was supposed to go, and neither of them worked.
Yeah. This wasn't fixed until way later, wasn't it?
And arguably it's not even fixed now.
It's better now. Like, it's more obvious. Like, the whole thing where you climb up the sides and like jump up the thing and you jump back and forth and shoot guys.
It just doesn't work.
I mean, it's functional, but it's not great.
It's not really fun.
And then I remember, but the best part of this is us trying to figure out how we get people to shoot the button.
Yeah,
right?
that is the best part.
And I forget, we came up with a bunch of different things. One was just like, originally it said shoot it, and I was like, why would someone say shoot it? I was like, well, what would somebody who's working there tell you to not do or something? Like, I was like, what if we just write don't shoot the button? Because if we write don't shoot the buttons, what are you gonna do? Shoot the button.
Yeah.
And it ends up being pretty funny.
Yeah.
And so once you get up here, it's really cool. And
yeah,
David,
and this part is not as bad now as it was. We kind of fixed it,
really
where
bad,
it's now
really.
it's just kind of uninspired and not that great. Whereas before it was like
yeah, people wouldn't look up. You had turrets up there. It was just a pain. Now it's fine.
Yeah.
And then the next section, if you go back,
which is the coolest part of this whole level.
Yeah, which you didn't want to let players see. So
I made it a secret. It was supposed to be enticing enough that they want to find the secret.
Yeah, but it wasn't. You couldn't get to it at all. Remember?
You could.
So the giant blade room, which is like one of the coolest things in the whole game, was literally just the thing that you would see through here.
No, it was a secret. You could. This area in here was originally a secret that you could open up and get into it. And you could always get into it.
Yeah, I was like, that's such a cool set piece that has to be like a main part of the level.
Which you're right. Yeah, it's too cool to waste.
Yeah, it was too cool to be a secret.
Yeah. I want to draw some attention to this thing. I like this thing. I think it looks really cool. You can see I'm a bit more comfortable now in episode 2 with like figuring out how to use the idea of abstract geometry and stuff in a way that feels right with the level. It also helps that now the locations that we're in episode 2 are much more fantastical and less grounded in reality. And of course in episode 3 that reaches a, But yeah, here's the grinder. This is probably one of
Event Horizon.
Oh yeah, probably one of the coolest visuals in the whole game.
Yeah. So a funny story about this. It is really cool. We thought it was so cool. So Valve, if you're cool enough, they'll give you pop-up ads for your game when it comes out, and you design them yourself. And they started doing animated ones, and we decided to do this, and it was the grinder. So those ads you get when you open Steam.
Yeah.
And
it was like right here was the shot.
Yeah, it was like that spinning, and then it said Dusk available now, and I sent it to Valve, and then they were like, no.
Yeah.
That literally said, that made me nauseous. We're not putting it on Steam, so we went back to the one. You can see the one that we eventually used. It's pinned to David's Twitter. It's the Blood River from last episode, level.
Someone asked, were the scientists inspired by Jacob's Ladder? No, I haven't seen Jacob's Ladder yet.
They're Half-Life scientists.
Yeah, they're Half-Life scientists, just with weird face masks. Also, I put these pickups here because I wanted the player to have to get close to this thing and feel uncomfortable about getting close to it. That's why those pickups are there. And you have to go through it, and it's just like, oh, what is this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and then another thing I wanted. I wanted to get how do we get the player to turn around before? And stopping the thing. So we did it with sound, and you stop. I'm like, we have to stop the machine.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I can't do that while the player's looking at it. And I'm like, well, cool. So make them turn the other way to hit the button. And then you did, and then you get the key, and this
some people miss that.
Is actually really hard.
Yes, it is.
Because of the goddamn fireball, the red mages.
There must have been a barrel right there when you spawned in. That's why this... So, in full admission time, I really like Sigil, like, a lot. And I think it's because Sigil is very focused on the idea of purposeful movement. Like, you only move in that game when you know why you're moving, and you have to be very aware of that, and that's something I really like in combat. And this encounter is one of those times where it's like you can't just circle strafe around. You have to use this, and you have to, every movement you do has to have a purpose. I know some people do not like that, and that's why, not every part of Dusk is that.
Somebody just asked what's the reference for inspirations for the ambient.
Oh, yeah.
Alcohol.
Okay.
Like, it just felt, this place felt huge and depressing, the way it was all put together. It felt like, hey, this is where
I'll
you're
be
going
back
to
1
die.
second.
So that was kind of the idea behind it, and I think it came out pretty well. Like, the track's called Anesthetized for a reason. It feels all numbed out.
Sorry, taking a bite of food.
No, you're good. I just ate like 3 tacos.
Oh, nice. I have mac and cheese, homemade mac and cheese, because my wife is awesome. Yeah, no, this track is so perfect for this level, because it's not like it could have been just generic, like, lots of dissonances, sort of ambient horror and stuff. But what it sounds like is, well, what the title, it just sounds like depressed and surreal and nightmarish, and it's perfect.
Like,
without having to be really in your face. It's great.
No Hope being kind of a subliminal theme personally for me.
Yeah, it's exactly. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like No Hope, and it's another one of the here, I'm gonna go all the way to, it's so the pathing here is a little weird, I guess, for some people, because but anyway, it's I feel like the Dusk soundtrack also sort of came into, not that it wasn't good to start with. It's good in episode 1 too, but I feel like the level design, it learned more what Dusk was as it went on.
It figured out its own identity. Yeah, for sure. Like, once, by the time episode 1 was done, I was like, this is pretty good. By the time we got to episode 2 and it was like even halfway done, I was like, holy shit. Like, there was things where I was like, I wasn't, not to toot my own horn, but I wasn't aware that I could do things like this.
Right.
Yeah,
I think all of us kind of grew into figuring out what Dusk was as we worked on it.
To reiterate, that's important whenever you have people who are willing to hear out your ideas and willing to, accept your vision. Like, I feel like the 3 of us, and of course, Jesus Christ, the quality assurance team being a huge part like,
they are the unsung heroes of Dusk Death.
Absolutely. But, like, just everything worked together. And while we may have had moments where it's just like, oh, fuck, I don't feel like hearing this right now, we all got along for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, Dave and I argued a lot, but it was never like yelling and screaming at each other.
It was never like arguing.
No, it was just,
we're like, hey, fuck you, do this.
No, I remember one time specifically where I was like, angry and being like, and Dave's like, well, I wouldn't bring it up if it wasn't an issue. And I'm like, yes, I know. I'm not mad at you, I am mad at the situation. Because I know you're right, and I have to redo all this work. And
there was a few times where David would come over to me, and I'd be like, hey, what are you doing? Because, we'd be talking back and forth on what I was going to work on for that night. And David would be like, oh, redoing the pathing on this level. I'm like, oh, why? He's like, oh, Dave went through it and found a couple things, and I was like, and he's right, isn't he? And he's like, yes.
Yep.
Yes, he is. And I was like, yeah, he's good at that.
I always find the thing nobody else does.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true.
I think having mutual respect, even when it's not always mutual agreement, is very good for collaboration.
And
essential, I'd say.
And the second set of eyes, just something.
That too.
Something to bounce is like, is this good? Because I think any solo dev will tell you, and you've experienced this. You get so into it, you're like, I don't know if what I'm making is good anymore.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Having someone to bounce that off of and be like, actually, this is pretty good, but it would be better if.
you did this, then you go back and forth, you go, ooh, that's cool, and that kind of iteration is what leads to great levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be painful in the moment as the person who's, you know, the developer on it. It can be really painful sometimes. You're like, oh no, but it's what leads to good levels. That's what. And here you can see the spine architecture. Yeah. You can go in and find it. Yeah. And that's how Dusk Dev went, basically. We were always going back and forth on stuff. This area here, this is another one where it's like, it's an intestine shape. Kind of like...
The Wendigo breathing is based on the whatchamacallits from Stalker, right?
The Bloodsuckers, yeah. Which was ripped from them. The Wendigos are basically a Bloodsucker ripoff. And their breathing sound, actually, that's not an organic noise. That is that's a hit and miss engine.
Yeah.
In fact, there are a few Dusk enemies that their sounds are actually mechanical noises. Like another good example is the Priestess in episode 3. Her screech that's just a mechanical screeching noise. Yeah.
This room's really cool because it's it's a cool arena. It looks awesome. It's cool to fight the Wendigos in, and then I thought great place for storytelling. I was like, whenever there's a break in the action, I'm like, ooh, let's do a creepy VO and write some shit on the walls and add some story here. There's a little bit of lore there.
Sorry, what happened?
That was whatchamacallit reference.
Oh.
No, he will deliver us. Yeah, and I think we went back and forth. Now it actually looks really cool with the flashlight off as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like that story behind there?
Yeah, the story behind that. We're making fun of Hugo.
Oh, okay.
And then this is really cool. The polka dot lights.
Yeah, the measle lights.
Yeah. And at some point we
room?
decided that each episode should have one giant unnecessary combat arena as a secret side.
And then in episode 3 we decided to make that the 9th level.
Yeah. Get to that. But this was cool. It's just because like, why are there so many extra enemies in this level? And this one's because it's just like fun to have like, you know, after a level like this, just like a big fuck around room.
If I remember correctly, this room was actually where the level ended originally, but
yeah.
But it wasn't. And then we decided to use it as a combat arena.
Yeah, because we added a bunch of it. Because I think another thing. Thinking of like, we really got to put places to use the stupid climbing power up.
Yeah.
That much, and we spent so much time on it.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, make another big vertical room where we can use the climbing power up.
The problem that happened is
like, you had like a bunch of intoxicators in here and stuff.
Yeah, I made it insane.
You did not do that.
The problem with the climbing power up was that it.
That was cool.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, like, no, just little tiny things. Like, whenever you break the grating to come in through here, where you got, like, all the tech walls, like, little things like that are... They just add so much. I don't know. It reminds me so much of Doom. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah,
Hard pressure reminds me a lot of residue processing in Half-Life.
Yep.
And the stuff in Quake. Yeah, definitely a lot of that.
I took some references from residue processing.
Aww.
Oh, and this is the outside of that big thing you just went through. By the way, I kind of wanted to. Yeah. I guess this is in a way a bit of maybe not foreshadowing, but the start of the idea for Erebus Reactor, where I liked having you go through that big area and then coming into this even bigger area that dwarfs it. Which of course is what happens with Erebus Reactor. Secret level. Let's go there.
Yeah, the secret level, which I hate, but you love.
Why do you hate it?
The reviews, Yahtzee, G-Man, Civi, Mandalore. Did Yahtzee play Dusk? Oh yeah, he played it with Fortnite. He did a double review where he did Fortnite and Dusk.
Yeah. He didn't like the level design.
Mandalore's in here. I think Civi's in here too. Obviously, Civi's...
Oh, cool. We love Civi. And Mandalore.
No, he loved it too. I think Civi's 3-part series was really awesome. Especially, I loved part 3 because I spent like, as everybody knows, like the ending of Dusk was like the thing I spent the most time on. I wrote and rewrote that a million times. It took me about a year to get Steven. It's a Stefan or Steven? I still don't know. Stefan.
Oh, so Stefan.
Wait to be in the game, and we recorded that whole thing. And I was like, I really hope people appreciate this.
Yeah.
And then when Civi did that third-part video with all this stuff at the end, that was my favorite.
Yeah.
The real feel-good moment. I love that video, Civi. That's my favorite part of when you discovered. And I think a lot of other people had that reaction as well.
Yeah.
To the voice. Some people didn't get it at first, and I remember G-Man was DMing me afterwards because he was like, G-Man likes to do a thing where he plays games and then DMs everybody he knows like as he's playing them. I'm like, just play the fucking game.
Oh really?
Yeah. He's like, oh, I just got to this. He's been DMing me like nonstop about like System Shock. He's like, oh, I can't. But he was doing that for Dusk. I'm like, just get to the fucking thing. He's telling me, oh, I love this level. Oh, I fucking hate this level. I'm like, just play it. And he gets to the end and he's like, was that fucking? I was like, yeah. He's like, holy shit. I was like, yep. Because it doesn't click for some people at first. But when it do, I think it was worth it. Also, it's people. Somebody asked earlier, how hard was it to get Stefan for the game? I went to his website, which it looks like it was made in GeoCities in like 1996. And I just emailed him, and he emailed me back. His emails, he writes, are in all Comic Sans.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
In like 40-point font. He's such like an old. He's not a boomer. He's like a generation like above that. He's like 70. He's such an old. He's so much like old man learning how to use a computer. And it was mostly a union thing because he's whatchamacallit,
Screen Actors Guild.
So I had to go to the Screen Actors Guild, SAG-AFTRA and stuff, and I had to, and they were not used to like doing like small video game stuff, so I had to sign a bunch of paperwork, go back and forth, find a third-party company to bill for the thing that could invoice his agent to do a thing, all to pay him $500 to record 30 minutes of audio, and it took about a year of going back and forth to get that to happen. But it did, and I think it was 100% worth it.
Dude's a super big sweetheart.
Yeah, he's such a nice dude. And we will release his outtakes.
Oh no.
We had him do. He did so many. I think I put the "Is this hentai?"
I think that's public, isn't it?
Yeah, I put that one on Twitter once.
I think I gave it to Grizzly too.
Yeah, and he put a bunch of that. There's one where he goes, "Who did you expect at the end of all this? Donald Trump?" There's so many. He's like, "What's hentai?" We're like,
That was the best.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
The best moments of my entire career.
Yeah.
I'll always remember
what are
that.
we doing to this old man?
I had to mute myself while I was on chat with Dave while we were directing him because I was laughing so much I couldn't keep it together.
Yeah, we're like, he did one where he's like, "Is this? But you, I like butter." Better and stuff. There's so many. There's like 2 hours of audio, and we recorded it all. We'll put it when we do like the big box stuff. We'll put like a CD of like just extra shit.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Let me go over a few things about this level real quick. So the reason I like this level is it's really, I think it's really good looping. It turned out really well. How it loops you back over places in a logical manner and stuff. I really love. This is my favorite music track in the whole game, and the idea behind this level was essentially just sort of as much seamless movement as I could do with Dusk. Oh, I also like the color scheme in this room a lot, with that deep red. This room was one that I made like really early in the game's development, and it was part of a different level, and then I just threw it into here because why not? But yeah, originally the name, what is Foundry? That's what we called it. The original name was Parkour Pipeline, which Dave didn't like, so it changed. There. And this, oh yeah, the lighting in here I like. Here we go. Here's the parkour part. There's like, oh, wrong way. There's like several different ways you can do this.
Somebody asked, do you feel like you would have been better cutting off the climbing ability if not for the sunken time fallacy?
What? No,
Do you think
I think it's still fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think also with the SDK, people are gonna make more fun levels like this to use.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That was one of the first things
and
I
that's
thought of.
also like we've got those grappling balls, which we didn't use anywhere in the game, but Scott put in that multiplayer level.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys play that giant multiplayer level that we have.
See,
That,
look how well that loops back around. Now we're back on this.
Pretty
I'm
neat.
just really happy with that. Anyway,
This,
sorry.
I
go
always
to-
like this part because I like bouncing and then zooming with the hunting
Yeah.
rifle and shooting him as you're bouncing. It's a good feeling.
I also felt like that was like an homage to Rock 2013 in a way.
Oh god, yeah.
It
except
might have
if
been
you fall in the
subconscious.
lava, you die.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate it. I don't want to talk about E2M2 ever again.
Oh gosh, yeah. But yeah, there's a there are these grapple ball things that didn't make it into the game that are pretty cool.
They're really cool. Like you shoot them and you grapple towards them, and I think those are definitely.
But now, see, the thing is, the climbing power-up is flawed, but it's still fun, and it still has good use in the game.
Good catch and release that I really wanted.
Yeah, but it's not as good as we
Could've
wanted
been.
it to be. It's just...
Yeah, but we spent so much time on it already. Oh, look at that. That was a nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was.
That was nice. That was like some fucking My Friend Pedro shit. Right
Yeah, that's
there.
how you're
You
supposed
were
to
doing
use the
trailers,
flip.
bud.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, this part.
was good.
And this is one where it was hard to come up with a good transition, so it just teleports you
Yeah,
into...
teleports you back.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's E2MS.
And now the
Now, yeah.
The funny thing was, so many people played and even reviewed Dusk and like stopped before this. And this is, I think, unequivocally where the game fucking changes.
This is where Dusk...
This
The
is where
retro
shit
FPS
this is where
becomes-
shit gets real.
Yeah, this is where Dusk the retro FPS becomes Dusk the psychotic acid dream, basically.
Yeah. And then the voices on all these things are.
Yeah, that's
it's
Andrew. He
Andrew.
just
Andrew's
improv
doing-
those.
He just did a bunch of random ones. Oh, did you do the Duke thing with the don't have time to play with myself
Yeah.
earlier?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he did.
This is also this level basically is the reason that developing episode 3 took years off my life because this started the chain of like having to feel like I had to one up myself in conceptually with every new Dusk level. So it's like, oh crap, we've already done non-Euclidean, well, not really non-Euclidean, but like MC Escher insanity. Now what? Well, I guess we've got to... Now we have to have gravity change. I know Dusk doesn't... nothing about Dusk supports that. We'll just have to hack it in somehow.
It's so hacky. And this secret, is this the one where I wrote the goats have gone mad?
No, that was back in the Infernal Machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is just a goat operating room. Nothing really... This power-up placement's weird. I'm not even going to
Yeah, all
bother
those-
getting it.
All those
Yeah.
comm voices that people reference with it, I just did that on a whim because of memes.
Dr.
Yeah.
Meme.
Dr.
Yeah, and
Memes.
And they're supposed to be.
Dr. Freeman.
Yeah, it's basically just supposed to be the what's it called voice, the comm voice from Half-Life 1.
Yeah. Vox, I think it's
Yeah,
called.
Vox. That's what it is, right? Which is the creepiest
How are you not dead?
comm
It's a-
system in any game.
It
ever.
is, yeah. Oh, with those welders, I deliberately made their jib system just, like, have disgusting velocity, so that anytime one of them blows up, jibs are flying in, very long distances.
And there's my high school yearbook photo again.
Yeah,
And this level we actually iterated on a bunch
it does,
too.
yeah. Oh, yeah, also we iterated on this level.
Yeah,
a
and then
lot.
I had we'll show you later. I had all these to like for the like flavor text and changing some stuff. I'm like, let's change my picture too, and like give it like demon eyes. And then the part of this level, so this is also where we introduced the super hot power up.
Yeah.
And we changed that room a lot because it's one of my favorite sections of the game.
Originally-
I don't know what it's called, but okay.
What, the super hot power up? It's
Yeah,
called
yeah.
the Room of
Yeah, but
Bliss.
everyone knows what it is.
Yeah.
I still can't believe you got it to work. And I had Andrew do the VO here, take it, taste the power. And originally this room was like a lot smaller.
It was basically this plus a little tiny
and
bit
I was
extra,
like, it
yeah.
needs to be like really big and have like a lot of things you can throw in slow motion and all that stuff. And we iterated on it a few times, and eventually it turned into what it is now. And I think it's a really good use.
Yeah.
Haha. The most fun part about the Serum of Blistering Heat, in my opinion, is
It's sliding.
Well,
sliding-
sliding is pretty good, but I like throwing physics Whoop, that one
Look
exploded.
at all those dudes that just caught on fire. I've never seen that
Yeah.
with something explodes. That was awesome.
So I love it. You can slide and double barrel shotgun guys really well.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
You
The
know?
cool thing, my opinion, and this has also become relevant while working on Maximum Action, is that the coolest things to see in slow motion are things that are affected by gravity, or that have some sort of in-air velocity. That's actually why the Dusk level, endless level, come on there, the Dusk endless level in Maximum Action. That's why that has rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, super hot power up. Serum of blistering heat.
Yeah, I'm so surprised that actually just works. It works really well.
Yeah.
Scientist on fire.
I like how he doesn't care that he's on fire. Just like I'm just gonna.
Yeah. He's so dedicated to his job. It's just.
Lore.
Yeah.
Right, and this is when stuff changes.
This is the and now the reason I think I've shared this a couple of times before. The whole reason that the Escher Labs is the way it is because I was like, well, I have to have a lab level, and then I started making the lab level, and I'm like, this isn't fun. But yeah, now your picture is.
Yeah. So then I had this
And-
something isn't right, and then
Yeah.
I
It was just
because
like
I
this
wanted-
isn't. It's not cool. It's not. I don't have any ideas for how to make it cool. Like I don't know what to do. And then I'm like, okay, screw it. The level will be sideways.
Oh, man. I remember you handing me a build of this, and I was like, what did you do? Like,
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, it's really not that hard. You just put the floor on the ceiling, and you know.
it was just fuckery that he took the entire thing behind you and switched it again.
Yeah.
That-
It's
I
just
was like,
doors
that's-
opening essentially, but it's
I was like, that's kind of magic, you know?
yeah.
Everything's a door.
Yeah, everything in Dusk. The tornado in
Is a door.
Blasphemy is connected to a door. Yeah. All right, here we go. Here's ta-da!
And, I love watching people get to this part. They're like,
Yeah,
"What?"
they're like, what is going on? And I did a lot to like.
We did some other stuff because it got kind of confusing for some people, but it's pretty
Yeah.
straightforward, even though it looks fucky.
It is, yeah. And I also tried to. What I thought would kind of make the effect be better is if you had a very clear idea which textures went on which parts of. Like, this texture here, this is always a floor texture in this level.
Yeah.
Like, wherever this is somewhere that's supposed to be floor. I don't know how well that actually ends up working, but it was something I tried. And yeah, this was... It wasn't
Priceless
too hard to
diamond,
do
like-
technically. Like, this level wasn't hard to do technically, but it was difficult to do creatively, to try and design, like, rooms stuck together like this.
Yeah, imagine getting through pathing, and you're like, this is what I want to do. At
Yeah.
certain points with that, you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was really
Yeah,
hard to think up, like, cool rooms, too. That wasn't just like, here's a room, but it's on its side. Because I wanted it to not just be, you're in
Ugh.
upside-down rooms, but be that you're in this stuck-together conglomeration of rooms at from different angles. Like MC Escher, basically.
Yeah.
So in this case, it's not just like, this part is like one way, and then you have this part going that way, and stuff like that, it was a bit hard to do.
And then we moved the key over here, so you kind of
Yeah,
get it. no
so it
matter
flows
what.
a bit better.
People would miss the key.
And this is
And
just
then-
the...
So the first time David I played this with David, and I love putting the welder down there because you
Yeah.
can't see him and you just see his
You
fireballs.
just see his fireballs.
The first time I played this, I was like, oh, thief hallway, and David goes, oh, good, you got it. I didn't know if anybody would get it. I was like, no, I got it immediately. I looked at it immediately, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's Constantine's mansion from Thief.
Yeah.
Awesome. So then I had the idea. I was like, let's hide the sword there, cause you're doing the thief.
Because it's the sword, and this is
And
thanks,
then we get the
Constantine.
sword, and then we put the little message, thanks, Constantine.
Yeah.
Just in case people didn't get it, and me,
Yeah.
I have to put everything to death. I was like, let's fucking make sure they fucking get it.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's definitely one of the most memorable sections. Plus, that's been done a bunch of times in a bunch of games, but it's...
Yeah. It was done in the Gloomwood demo.
Civi said, thanks, Constantine. Hi, Civi. And then you get your eye cut out. See, but you get
Yeah.
a better eye. You get a better eye.
Yeah. So yeah, this... Whoop. It's stupid.
And then this, it's another, yeah.
Yes.
With the, this
Don't.
was another section where I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit. So it didn't say don't originally. It didn't say
No.
anything. And I had the idea to put don't on there. 'Cause it's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
one of the-
I was
like the
afraid if it's saying anything because I didn't want people to expect anything, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
But just
But it worked
the,
out.
The shift in sound here is what
Yeah.
really does it. You get
And-
it's so shrill, and then when you go back, it's so quiet for a second before
Yeah.
the music comes back in. And
That-
it's just like, what the fuck where did I just go?
Yeah.
And it
that-
really foreshadows a lot of the other stuff.
This actually,
How did
this,
you come up with
this,
the idea for this?
oh gosh, this part looks really cool in limited palette too. Actually, I don't even remember,
The
Dave.
Bone
Honestly,
Zone. That's
But
what you
the-
should have called this. It should have said the Bone Zone on the wall.
bones. The ambient sound is a buzzsaw just looping. Actually, yeah, I don't remember how I came up for this. I don't
Something
know.
about saws and the sound of saws that people don't like. That's the
Yeah.
same alert sound that they used for Amnesia for the monster.
Yeah, and they used it in no, Dead Space. That was a subway. Never mind. But there's that
Yeah,
one
it was-
horrible
But it's-
noise that happens when you
yeah.
come back inside of the one spacewalk.
Who is Forbidden Donut 99? I assume Dylan?
Yes, that's Dylan. What did Dylan say?
He said, if you haven't played Thief, we have you covered soon. Yeah, we
Yeah.
get it. Yeah, Andrew, you should do a VO so when you go in there and the special edition it goes, welcome to the Bone Zone.
That would ruin it, though.
No.
That, okay. Meme game. This part I always thought was kind of annoying. It's just like, I
The
gotta stack
stairs.
boxes.
Oh,
And
yeah,
then-
yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
yeah,
fine.
It's fine, but you're not wrong. And then
Be able to jump up there. And then another save yourself. So
Yeah.
save your game. There you go. And then this, and also, but so I didn't. So this is it's the Indiana Jones thing, right? Or at least it was to me when I first saw. Wait, David, go back.
yeah,
Go back to the beginning of. I
Uh-huh.
know the stream delayed a few seconds. And so originally there was nothing there, and I was like, well, if we're doing the Indiana Jones thing, or at least to me it was that. I'm like, what can we give the player so they can test that out? I'm like, the mortar, you can bounce it, and it would bounce if you shoot it, and it would bounce. And you
yeah.
would
Sorry, I was
see-
getting a drink.
Oh yeah. If you shoot the mortar, it would bounce across the invisible thing, and you would see, okay, I can walk there. Kind of
Yeah.
like how Indy throws the bag of sand to see that there's actually a path there. So it's the same thing. And it was good. And so you're like, okay, there's an invisible thing there, and it's cool, but it still gives you the crazy stuff. And then Mama, which we had to
Yeah.
nerf because the fight's fucking is a hard. 'Cause most people die by falling.
Yep, that's how you die in this one. Probably should have done the. In hindsight, we should have done the same warping thing that we do in episode 3,
Right.
where it warps
Yeah.
you back. But I like this visual in here. Of all the floating platforms. There was a previous incarnation of this area that
Originally,
was
it looked
completely
nothing
different.
like this.
Yeah,
there
and it wasn't
just
very
It was
good.
like a room with a stairs, and she was like it was like an operating table or something. There was nothing.
I
It wasn't
don't
It wasn't
remember
very
that.
good. No, she
This
wasn't
is
even on an
basically-
operating table. It just
Yeah, this is like a complete redesign of what it
Yeah.
was once.
it's much cooler.
That Scream, the one that she does. There's a girl from our Discord did the voice for Mama.
The what have you done?
Yeah, what have
Yeah.
you done to my dog? It's actually what have you done to my dog?
Yeah,
For some reason, the clip gets cut in half, and she says, to my daughters after you kill her.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, whatever, it's fine. I think she just says my daughters.
Yeah, she just my daughters. So this is the strategy for dealing with Mama, basically. And yeah, Mama, or the Cowgirls, or is actually the enemy name. But she went through some redesign. Because the original.
Yeah, right. So David, she says, "What have you done to my daughter?" So originally, like her bottom half, she had like her hoo-hoo all stitched up.
Well, see, no, that is what it looked like, but that wasn't actually what it was supposed to be.
Yeah,
But
I
it did
saw
look
that,
like
I was
that,
like,
so yeah.
And I was like, let's maybe not have stitched up hoo-hoos on the enemy characters. So I was like, let's just give her like all metal, like art.
Yeah, like the cyber midwives in System Shock
Yeah,
2.
yeah.
And honestly, it wasn't very fitting for what Dusk actually is, too. She was designed early on when it was going to be a bit more of a serious game. Like, it was always going to be a bit, like, but it was originally it was going to be a little more horror-y. But now it was too much. So
yeah, my favorite was
definitely inspired by the Good Wives.
Yeah,
my favorite was whenever those original designs I think were still in a build, I believe.
Yeah,
that possibly was in Twitch, and Dave came across him, and he goes, "Oh, I wasn't expecting that." Like, when you were playing on stream with Nvidia or somebody, I think.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that.
EVGA or something?
Yeah, it was EVGA, and like, I started laughing, then I was immediately like, "Oh no."
You want the game sound turned up a bit? Somebody? I don't know. So this room took a while. So the set piece was always there, and it looked really cool. And then when we realized the gravity thing later on, I asked David, I'm like, is there a way to indicate that that's like the giant gravity-otron? I was like, can we like make some can we like suspend a bunch of shit in midair? And he did. Because originally none of that was there, and it looks really, really fucking cool. I just always love the way the lighting, the baked lighting looks in this.
Yeah, it looks.
No,
very
he said
good.
turn the volume up.
Did he? Game sound is a bit too loud. So
Oh, it's too loud. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it the music or the game?
I don't know.
The music or the game? Sounds fine to me. Oh, I can hear myself now. Hi, me.
Wow, hello, dude.
Stop.
Ooh,
Alright,
this sexy voice.
Alright, so there's the Escher Labs. That is...
Sweet, delicious mezcal.
No, I'm not drinking. Not till later. I gotta drive back to San Diego.
I'm just gonna have one.
Hold on 1 second, I'll be right back.
Sure.
Gotta pause it. Alright, I'll be right back.
Erebus.
Oh. What is it with older shooters and body horror? That's a good question. I don't know. They're all the guys who make them are all sick fucks.
Quake 2.
Yeah. Bunch of
Yeah.
sick fucks.
Keep singing. Why did you stop? Who was singing? Was that you, Dave?
Was I singing? Body horror sucks a lot. People are sick fucks. Yeah, Quake 2 enemies are just like, bleh.
Was
Quake
there
2,
a lot
best
of
Quake 2 of the Quake 2 series, yes. Quake 2 is the best Quake 2 ever made. No, there is... No, we got Quake 2 now. It's called Wrath. You can play it. You just pretend that Quake 2 never came out. Just go right from Quake to Wrath. It does, that kind of sounds like what the sequel to Quake would be anyway.
Yeah. Was there a lot of inspiration in music from Quake 2? No. Like, I like Sasha. He made a great soundtrack, but no, not really. No.
Yeah, Sasha. Everybody forgets that Sasha did so much work on the new Deus Ex.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Great.
Yeah. And also, I always go back to that because I went to the Game Awards, and like they had Green Day, which was actually pretty cool because they played something. Then they had Grimes, and I don't even remember who the third act they played was. Who else played at the Game Awards? It was Grimes and Green Day. That's how forgettable it was. But the best was when they had Mick Gordon play the Doom soundtrack at the Game Awards, and Sasha was on keyboards. And I forget the drummer from what band.
Is it Matt Halpern?
Yeah. I forget the name of his band. Fuck.
Periphery?
Yeah, Periphery. Thank you. And they played, and it was awesome. And then they broke into Quake in the middle for like 10 seconds.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I was gonna like turn off and like run up on stage. That was fun. Need more of that. Even though Green Day was pretty great this year, especially because they played Welcome to Paradise and not like some new shit. I'm like, oh, they're playing Boomer Punk.
Boomer Punk.
Boomer.
Boomer Punk would probably be like if the fucking Clash showed up.
Oh my god.
So,
That
here
is
we have
weird.
the Erebus reactor, which is reference to Mount Erebus in Doom, which is one of my favorite levels in the game, actually.
Isn't Mount Erebus where they introduced Cyber Demon?
No.
No, that's Tower of
That's Babel, yeah.
Yeah. No, Mount Erebus is the one in excuse me. That's the one in episode 3. 3, right? Yeah. Doom always melts together for me. I can't remember which levels are in which episode. But
Someone
it's
said the Saint Anger snare.
It's not that bad.
But yeah, so the idea here is to be a bit like Mount Erebus, where it's like a big open explorer level. I don't think it's as successful at that as Mount Erebus. I remember when making this, I showed a in-progress, excuse me, an in-progress version to Dylan, and he was like, you know, it would really help sell it better to have like more interiors, like have more going on with the interiors inside and stuff. And he was right, but it was honestly, this level was hard enough to realize to begin with that it was just like eh.
I think my crits were just mostly like it was about visualization of key. I was like, to add more borders to the doors and stuff, so it's not just like people wandering around. Because originally it was just kind of like just going into every room and seeing what it was.
Yeah.
We didn't really guide the player in
Like
a
Mount
great
Erebus.
way. Yeah, and there was but other than that, I was just like, you know, awesome big combat arena. It was good.
Yeah.
And then when we get to the end, we worked really hard on the big reveal at the end. Not Big John. Big John, we did not work on hard at all.
No,
It's
but on
literally just David fucking. And I didn't know. Did I have anything to do with putting Big John in the game, or you just did that?
No, you did.
Okay.
You wanted Big John then.
Yeah.
But I didn't know where he was going to show up or why or how you would. Definitely didn't know you were going to put my face on him. Which is that picture that I took at RTX that one year with
Yep. And it's really
put
funny if you look at the texture. It's literally just I like cropped out your face and put it's so bad. Wait, was there? No, that was the old version.
The music track for this one is actually one of the few like thematic tracks where it's actually the sound that you hear in between that goes down, down, down. Like that's an actual Tesla coil, like tuned to pitch.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember you sending an in-progress one to me, or an in-progress, like, sample of the track to me, and you're like, is this too much? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, no, it's great for this. I think it's definitely one of my favorite tracks.
Yeah, I love...
So, Big John, we'll talk about him in a bit, but yeah, that's my voice. Basically, it's me doing Arnold from Predator, and I haven't done any new Big John lines in years. We literally reused the ones I did for Rise of the Triad. Yeah, it's me. It's just doing this. Come on, kill me. Come on, I'm here. Come on, you ugly son of a bitch. Like it's literally me doing that, and then Andrew pitches it down, so it sounds. And when we did that, and it actually sounds a lot like shitty Arnold.
It's surprisingly accurate.
Like it's the end of Predator, you know. He's like, "Come on, kill me, I'm right here," and the Predator just walks off. And like back when we were working on Rise of the Triad, it's like Frederick's like a huge Arnold fan. We're all big like Arnold fans and stuff. So I just did that, and we put him in. He's in Rot 2013 as a mini boss, and I guess I said let's put him in Dusk.
Yeah.
And we'll get to him, but with the big thing was like, is this too fucking stupid to be in this?
And the answer is yes, but we did it anyway.
And a lot of some people were like, and I was like, listen, if enough people really don't like it, we'll just turn the voice off or whatever, or we'll make it a secret. But as you know, Big John definitely became a thing that people like, and we want to, and we put him in a medieval. We want to put him in games. He's just like, I wanted to do new lines. Well, hi, you thought I was dead? I'm not in one game. I'm in every game. I'm back.
You thought I was in one game, but I am actually in every game.
Good
Lord, I can't even.
Like, Big John will definitely return in more stuff. But it worked out pretty well. But that's not the design. Designing Big John was not hard. But the big reveal at the end, we actually spent a lot of time on.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that when we get to that.
I like the idea that Big John's voice being turned off was on the table. Because it would just show up and it would just say Big John underneath. Like, who is this guy?
What?
Well, I mean, the enemies have had very stupid names. The Guardian used to be Painosaurus.
Oh yeah, that's That's right. I called him the Painosaurus, and I thought it was hilarious.
The thing about Dusk is, you know, we try to, you know, you don't want it's not Postal, right? We don't want fucking meme humor all the time. But
all the time.
Like, it's fun to have those moments of levity where it's like dumb stuff or kind of dumb. I just thought Painosaurus like takes you out of the moment of fighting this boss like so much. And then like the Guardian makes more sense. But Painosaurus wasn't a bad name, so I like semi-regret making it because it reminds me of Luchasaurus.
It's a very much a me sort of joke where it's just so stupid.
Is Mike in here? Jarrett's not in here, right? Jarrett's probably at the gym. That dude works out more than I do.
So real quick fun fact. These towers, these sparking towers, those are kind of... Ooh, yeah, that worked. Those are kind of ripped out of Painkiller. In the factory level, there's some towers in the background that have that I took the shape from, and then just made them spark and glow, basically. I think it was... I'm pretty sure it was Igor Stravinsky that originally said, beginners borrow, masters steal, so... There's some parts of Dusk where I took that to heart.
That scientist was just stabbing that welder. I've never seen that before.
Oh, yeah. But welders tend to create a lot of infighting for obvious reasons. Yeah, this level was quite difficult to just overall to do. I remember specifically modeling out this whole center part here, which was not easy. So I modeled this all out, and I just couldn't figure out how to fill out the rest of the space. And I went on a walk, because that's usually what I do when I'm stuck. And I was like, do I need to change the idea for this level? Like, maybe the idea I have just isn't going to work out. And eventually I'm like, no, I gotta just do it. I just gotta find stuff, I just gotta come up with a few things that I can create to put around to make it, you know, to fill out the space. And have this nice interior, and then... Oh, I have the red key, I can keep going. And then, once that was all done, then this whole thing out here kind of followed.
Yeah, this was super neat.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if this worked or not, but...
Originally, you could, there was so much space.
Oh yeah, it was way too big.
You could go around the whole back of the... Don't do that. Originally, you can go around the whole back of the reactor. Can you look at that? Is the stream frozen?
Sorry, I was getting a bite to eat.
Oh yeah,
hungry boy.
No, so originally you can go all the way back, and it was like there was nothing back there, and there really wasn't much of a point. So I was like, wall that off. But look what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think there is a way to like sneak back there or something, but it's not gameplay.
But originally, it was like it was just like 10 miles of being able to walk, and it was just like
yeah.
But here was the big reveal: the fact that like this giant room was the tiny room.
Yeah.
Among these. And then we get to the switch.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I got to it, and it opens the roof, and I was like, "That's super cool." But the problem was, nope. What happened?
I'll do that in a second. Keep going.
Okay. Oh, well, no, you could do it now. I was talking about it.
Oh, I was just gonna mention real quick the it's supposed to trick you into thinking you're outside at night.
Yeah.
I don't know how successful that was for most people, but that's the idea. Anyway, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. So now hit the switch, and it opens. Right, and it was really cool. But originally, it happened really fast. There wasn't a lot of sound to it, and my concern was the player's not going to look up.
Yeah.
And see it. So my whole thing was, how do we get the player to look up?
Yes, the great game design question of really anything.
Yeah, and I was like, well, first of all, let's slow it down so they have time, because if they're fucking around in that room, they won't see it. Because like not just seeing it open, I want to see them seeing it open. And second of all, I'm like, we need to add like really loud sound of like, you know, the roof opening. And then I wanted you to make it so I think that lens flare with the sun wasn't originally like
was it thing. Not? Maybe it wasn't.
Yeah.
One of the main things. Yeah, well, one of the main things was also making the light level change, which was actually quite hacky the way I did it.
Yeah.
Every single object in here that's supposed to change light level, like the floor and stuff, have a specific material, with I think a script attached to an. It might just be the material. I think it's just they have a specific material, and then when those doors open, there's a script that knows to change the light level of this list of materials. So it's an incredibly hacky way to do it, not modular at all. You would never, be able to use that in another level, but it helped kind of encourage them to look up.
Yeah. And then I think I had you, I don't know if it was less buildings, more buildings, taller buildings. I had you some of the buildings in some way. I forget. I think they were more just like pillars before, and then you added like windows or something.
Oh, maybe? I don't. Yeah, there was a lot of iteration to make it work.
Also, I think I think there was more stuff in the middle, and I was like, take stuff out of the middle so you can see more of the sky. Yeah, it doesn't have dynamic lighting, which was an issue.
Yeah.
And we couldn't make the light shine through in there, but it worked, and it ended up working. And I think it's a really cool moment. And then you get that really cool quiet moment, and then come on.
Yeah. No, if I were doing this in a different game, a game that wasn't just using baked lighting, of course you'd have direct sunlight shining in, and you'd see the shadows of the doors opening, and that would communicate it. But yeah, and then we have this guy.
I never noticed the roof open. Yeah, come on! Come on, kill me, come on! You can turn the sound off. Come on!
Here,
kill me, come on! Come on, you ugly son of a bitch! Yeah, come on!
Good job.
Come on! Come on, do it! Come on! Yeah! Come on! Really, man! Yeah! Come on! Do it! Do it! I'm here! Come on! And I love the fact, I think originally... he only said a few things, and I'm like, no, the way we did it in 2015, just put a whole bunch of the sound files in and randomize them, so he just says whatever the fuck all the time. That thing, I'm like, when he dies, can you make it go,
yeah, ready?
Yeah, he says it after he dies, because it's like, he's like, I'll be back, I never die, he's like already dead, and he goes,
Yep.
Amazing.
Oh, that's great. Some people hate that fight.
Yeah.
Like, I've gotten people yelling at me.
You can just range him. Because
they hate it because it's...
I had you increase his range so you couldn't just, stand at the other end of the map and rocket him.
Yeah. Well, I've had some people who hate it because it's so tonally dissonant from what comes before.
From everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the point.
That's kind of the joke,
Give him a break,
Now, Jerma's stream that he did has the funniest Big John fight I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, they fight each other.
Where he gets him in here, and the Doppler effect is turning. It's so good. Yeah. You're like, come on, get me now. It's like high pitched. It's so good.
But yeah, this I always thought was really cool, and this was also a huge bug.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Jump pad with this jump pad where it wouldn't launch you all the way up. Oh god, the Z fighting.
Oh yeah, let's
wouldn't launch you all the way up, and I guess we eventually fixed it. Did Zombie figure it out?
Sorry, taking a bite.
Must eat.
Who did? It took a long time.
Yeah, it was a really hard bug.
Because it only showed up. It showed up really rarely, and we had to wait for someone to get it and know to send us an output log. And that finally happened, and I think we solved it, although I've heard rumors that there's still a variation of it. But I don't know if that's true or not. Is that this door doesn't lead anywhere outside of this room. So yeah, okay, so the huge part, the huge, sky vista and stuff is genuinely enormous in the editor. It's big enough that it was actually quite difficult to do any changes whatsoever to it, or do any, any real, prettyifying of it, because everything was just so huge, you could barely even get things selected. So the idea is it's supposed to be you've gone up that chute and that chute leads you to Neobabble, but I know that the actual sky vista you get you don't see Neobabble in there, but just imagine it. Imagine Neobabble is up there.
Oh god, no, this level looks really good with Bloomon, you guys.
Oh gosh, no. Here, let me show you.
There's Bloomon.
Yeah.
It might be the worst. You know why?
Completely
Oh
blown
my
out.
gosh.
Dude, I think rock paper shotgun.
Oh my god.
The Bloomon at this level, it's so fucking awful.
It's really bad.
Make it stop.
Yeah. Don't play Dusk with Bloomon, please.
It's out my ass.
Yeah. This one.
It's coming from my ass.
It's coming from my ass into his ass.
There it is. So the idea behind this level, there's a couple. The whole feel of this level is supposed to be like, excuse me. It's supposed to be like, yeah. It's supposed to be like arid and like open feeling, which makes sense because you're in the sky. And also it's like, it's Neobabble. It's the Babble Skylab, so it's just like.
Also, I love like this like we made this funny sign like "Welcome to Babble Skylab." We were really leaning into the like the Portal's Half-Life-y aperture type shit here, where it's like for a better tomorrow, we're grinding up humans to get to the Elder Gods.
Yeah. So the idea was like this is it's the biblical story of the Tower of Babel, but in this case it's representing, like, horrifying advances in industry. So we have all these, like, temple-like, so some are kind of Babylonian sort of structures, but they're all made out of metal. But, that was sort of the idea. Now, maybe that's a bit too, artsy for Dusk. I don't know, but that's kind of the way I went about this, and then made it goofy with like the Babel.
So we'll keep the Twitch VOD for the people asking, and then we'll put it on YouTube and stuff. If the commentary's good, which I don't know, we'll try to make it like the official dev commentary, because you can do that on stream, like on Steam. It's like this game has dev commentary. I don't know how dev commentary usually is, but it's got to be at least as good as the Double Fine commentary, right?
I don't know. I haven't seen the Double Fine commentary.
Tim Schafer's just like lol memes.
Oh.
I don't know, maybe.
There we go.
It should. I don't think. So whose voice is who? So David's playing. Say hi, David.
Hi. I have the weird voice.
Yeah. We all know. I'm Dave. Dave Oshray, and Andrew is.
Hello, I'm right here.
And that's Andrew. So you've got the three of us.
Yeah.
We could have done a thing where we put like little boxes on the screen with like our faces and voices, but that sounds like work.
Yeah, I don't know how to set that up.
But David managed to put his Twitter name on the corner.
Oh, that's existed there.
Fucking chill.
It's just an image. That's easy to do.
Yeah, and also we got Big John here. Yeah.
Yeah, him too. Special guest Big John.
Like this. So when we were making this level, right? So
you should have heard him.
Like David's like, oh, let's put a tornado, and I was like, oh, I fucking love tornado. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I did the whole stream like that, I would not be able to speak to.
Yeah. So this level had there were a bunch of light mapping issues had to do with global illumination, which is essentially just ambient light. It did not cooperate on this level for some reason. So I ended up having to do everything you see that is like you should do with global illumination. Like the fact that the shadow isn't pitch black, that's because there's, ambient light. The actual ambient light level of this level is like 0 or something. I did all of that with point lights because global illumination was not cooperating on this level, and It was at a point then in development where I'm just like, I'm tired of struggling with you light mapping, I'll just find some stupid way to do it. And that's why there are a couple places on, like, where is it? Right there, where you have a pitch black shadow that shouldn't be there, but it is because the point light didn't reach there or something along those lines. What engine does Dusk use? Yeah, Unity.
Unity, more like Unity.
Kinda.
I can't hear Dave at all.
Packing up my hotel room always.
Oh, really?
I don't think
Well, it's better than when I was doing the stream while driving on Pro 5.
Yeah. Damn.
Kill him.
Yeah.
I still like the idea of taking all of the, like, cause we had blood to kill him.
Oh, yeah.
If it was just Corridor 7.
Yeah.
You follow blood.
Witch Haven.
Quake 2.
Quake 2.
Condemn. Did they say heretic? Or they,
Yeah.
Didn't I want them to say condemned, and you were like, no, that's too meaty.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Condemned
I
doesn't really have anything to do with this game.
Yeah, no, it'd be good. Oh, David, you gotta lower the game audio back
Oh.
because you did it for Big John. Yeah, they go.
Kid's Labyrinth.
Focus, focus.
Jake's Quest. Oh man.
Yeah, making games is fun.
Yeah. Sometimes making games is just the worst. Let's go to this. I forget what I put in the smokestack. Oh yeah, there's a wall on
I
it.
think it's a sword, isn't it?
No, it's climbing power. That's right. You use that to get to most of the secrets. And
Oh yeah, so we did. Yeah, this level we changed a lot of the. So my attention was focused on that, the rooms, you know, going through with the teleporter and stuff. But yes, I think, and I really wanted you to be able to, for the people that use the Crystal of Madness, that last room, it's a lot of fun.
yeah.
I think I asked you to add a bunch more set dressing.
Probably. That's usually a safe assumption.
And this room is hard. Yeah, for some reason, this room with the mama and the two welders and the turret, this room,
and a Wendigo.
Badly. I mean, just the cowgirls in general are just fucking so tanky.
They're pretty difficult.
They're very much like a Quake feeling enemy. Like
Yeah.
kind of a little big spongy.
They're supposed to be sort of the lower level cyber demon of this game.
Speaking of which, I love that new redesign the Eternal did. It's great.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Boom,
Hello, door.
Oh,
the-
hey.
It's a door.
Oh yeah, so yeah. Doors in Dusk only open up.
Yeah.
They don't open side to side.
Wait. Did I do the
Game
thing? I
needs
didn't do
fixed.
the thing.
Tech war.
Wait, what am I
Stuck
doing?
with me now.
Do I have the crossbow? Yes, I do. I haven't used the crossbow much at all. Crossbow gets... I feel like crossbow gets a more use in episode 3. This room, I love this room. I just love how it feels, like with the light coming in and stuff.
It's a nice ambient.
Yeah. Heck.
Oh no. Oh. Oof.
Ah, didn't time that right. Get some health. Excuse me.
Somebody pointed out the other day, and I was like, "That's not a bad. That's not a bad idea. Like I'd never thought of it like that." Is that some people have mentioned that Dusk is a really good introduction for people who like never played a shooter before, but they want to see what it's like because of the difficulty settings that were put in place.
Oh,
yeah, well, it's really. People always ask me why is more popular than most of the other ones, and it's because I've always said because it's so accessible. It makes everybody feel like a rock star. Like the movement, like bunny hopping is so easy. The shooting is so easy.
I'd never been able to like correctly bunny hop before Dusk. I will say that.
Yeah,
Honestly,
it's,
I can't
bunny
even-
hopping, Quake and stuff is hard. You know, like but in Dusk we just made it so. It used to be even easier where you could just hold W and do it.
Yeah.
but now we made so it's basically as long as you strafe and hop, you'll go fast. And there's still people who never bunny hop in Dusk. I see them play it totally like just walking and shooting, which is fine. But I think that's one of the reasons, the keys to Dusk's success is the fact that it's so accessible, but that it makes everything so easy to do, and it's just so satisfying to do all the fun stuff that it's anybody can do it. It makes you feel like an action hero star. It's like maximum action with the good controls.
Oh my god!
Maximum action controls are better now.
They're better now. Did we ship the hotfix?
Not yet. Well, we're waiting on the level.
Oh, we're doing that with the The level's good. Did you see George posted? George added propane tanks.
Oh, did he? Just right now. Oh, cool.
Yeah. He put it on Twitter and stuff.
Oh, nice. No, I played what he uploaded last night, and I'm like, hey, this is coming along.
I would say it makes you feel like an all-star. It really makes you want to get your game on and go play. It makes you feel like a rock star. And once you should get the show on and get paid.
No.
Oh my god! It took me a second. It's disgusting.
And then the Crystal of Madness. I love when people are like, "What does this do?" And they're like, "Oh, it makes enemies fight." And this was a great use of it. This room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This room is also real. I'm not gonna grab the super hot power because I'm using the Crystal of Madness, but it's also a really fun one to use.
Yeah.
Not so. What do we call Serum of Blistering Heat?
I'll get it. Super hot.
Full confession. Internally,
really because of the turrets and stuff. This room's pretty fucky.
Yeah. Full confession. Internally, we just call that thing the super hot power up.
Yeah.
So.
Do we like Lovecraft? I mean,
yes.
We made a game with the Lovecrafty stuff. Yeah. Lovecraft himself, don't have an opinion on the guy, but
there's baggage there, let's say.
Yeah, don't look up the name of his cat.
Or read Rats on the Walls, which has a cat named
People were racist back then.
Yeah, who'd have thought?
Yeah, well, people are racist. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the Lovecraft stuff that's in Dusk, because we ripped a lot of just, a lot of the stuff that's written on the walls in Episode 3 and stuff like that, and a lot of the lore and the stuff that Jacob says is from Lovecraftian stuff that wasn't written by him. That was written by other people that's part of the Lovecraft mythos.
The stuff on the walls isn't... No, those are from, what's that one poem? I thought, aren't those from, the poem Nyarlathotep?
Yeah, no. So some of the stuff's from Nyarlathotep is a short poem, and then one of the better things about Nyarlathotep was written by Arthur. Hang on, what did we name the level? The Dweller in Dark.
Yeah. Dweller in the Darkness.
Yeah, which wasn't written by. Dweller in Darkness.
Somebody just asked, "What's the big glowing thing that we were just at?"
Oh, well, that's a thing. What this actually is originally this room had a fast fire power up and a super hot power up. And this was here because it looks really cool to see that spinning, slow down and speed up in super hot mode. But that ended up getting cut.
Dweller in Darkness is by August Derleth. Wasn't by... I mean, so, most of the, the Lovecraftian mythos, it wasn't written by Lovecraft,
No.
Lovecraft died. But the stuff he created was, carried on by lots of different authors. So I would say most of the best Lovecraftian stuff was not written by Lovecraft himself.
Well, it depends on what you like about Lovecraft, because I'm actually more into his non-mythos stuff than...
Yeah.
I'm not actually that into the Cthulhu mythos. I'm more into just, his standalone cosmic horror stories.
Yeah.
I think this one, if I remember correctly, also looks really cool, and... Yeah. Yeah, see, Dusk was always meant to have Retro Palette on, originally. Everyone went nuts about that in Paratopic. I'm like, I had that idea first, Alright, so now we've gone through Escher Place. We've gone through gigantic. We've got grinding machine. Like a lot of stuff has happened. Now we're like, now this is the part in developing the episode where I'm like, what next? I guess, I don't know. I guess big electricity antennas. That's what we'll go with.
Yeah, and we didn't have a story around it then, but eventually it ended up working. And I had that great line about with his sparks they take from us that is never, and that was just me like mashing together a bunch of lines from different crafty stuff. And that's like most of the stuff I just mashed together stuff. I'm like, this would sound cool on a wall. This makes sense.
Yeah.
Once we had
you're a heavy metal singer.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And once we had the story outline pretty final, it was easy to kind of just make stuff fall into place.
Yeah.
Where like Jacob was an emissary of Nyarlathotep, and he was doing all his bidding, and the military came, and it was all pretty easy to put together. And then there's obviously bits of Half-Life there with Nargle being G-Man, and you're a bit Gordon Freeman, and it's it's all pretty tropey, but it works.
Yeah. I am going to grab a glass of water.
All right. Yeah, this color scheme in here with the blue and the really deep red was kind of inspired by the original Prey, which does that in a couple of areas, and I thought it looked really cool. Like Prey from 2006, which is an incredible game, by the way, that does not get nearly as much credit as it.
Prey 1's great.
Yeah. Yeah, this room. This is the point where I kind of embrace the idea of everything just being super abstract completely. Like this room is entirely just messing with shapes, basically. So like this right here, this is just like random cool looking shape.
I spent like no time in this half of the level. It was always just like, go here, get key.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone said Prey is the second best game with Prey as a title. The darkness is spreading. Someone said, you guys like Paratopic. Yeah, it was cool. I wish there was more game to it, like and stuff, and less
it's
like
good.
diving and stuff.
It had some issues, but
like it's good, and the art's great and stuff, and the whole we actually talked to them, Jess and Doc and people about like doing a full game in that universe, because I really love the whole like smuggling VHS tapes and like you watch the tapes and your head like explodes. So like I was very into that, but they're working on like other stuff now. But yeah, visually really cool, like very atmospheric.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
This room I love. I always love the lighting.
Yeah, visually.
And I remember I had you change the enemy in here a bunch because we wanted to have like the right amount of like. I remember there was like originally it was just like a bunch of like
a bunch of water. Sorry, you cut out.
It was
there.
like more red mages and welders here, and I'm like, I need more fodder enemies.
Oh.
Yeah, this was hard to get the combat right in this room. I remember.
Originally it was just balls hard.
Yeah.
I think you had like a lot of scientists. I was like, this room is too hard. I just love the lighting here. I never even saw you can look up and see that.
Yep, you can look up and see the antenna there.
You did. We went over it in meetings a couple times where you're like, yeah, if you look back here, it's it's hard to remember shit like that.
Yeah, this stairwell right here with this curve, took forever to do.
Really?
And this is and it's such a simple thing. It's just like
this room. It has curved stairs.
Yeah.
Curved stairs.
Well, I mean, these are the sort of things that you start getting dinged for if you don't have from the veteran mappers who are all just like masters at this stuff.
Yeah.
Like these sort of like little geometric details, but it was difficult enough to make them, and there were so many levels to make that sometimes I just had to skimp on. I didn't really have the luxury of just spending like months and months and months on a single level.
Yeah, exactly.
Or honestly, probably the patience, but
because like most of like those mappers and stuff, like they make like one map, because it's a side
and they can make it.
And not that I'm on one map. You don't have to build a whole game.
Yeah, not that I want to use that as an excuse, but it's just that's that was sort of my. We could have used it, but that was like the reality of making this game was that every level could not be an ad sepulture or.
Yes. What was I gonna say? Oh, somebody said I cannot believe this was all done in pro. Me either.
Yeah, Yeah.
Pro
I mean,
Builder guy is really cool.
I think Pro Builder is quite nice for what it is. It's just not as well suited for level design as some other tools, and I think Pro Builder really works well when it's used for details, when it's used for like level details around blocking. And yeah, all of this is Pro Builder, and I got pretty darn good with Pro Builder by the end.
And but the SDK supports Trench Broom as the primary mapping.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so this spot right here, actually this whole room kind of is based on, excuse me, is based on Ziggurat Vertigo from Quake. Because I love the design of that first area, or that area where it's like you have these like enclosed loft areas like this, but then there's this sense of like at any step you could fall, you could fall out. It's just, I don't think I completely managed to capture it with this.
It looks like a pretty sweet apartment.
Yeah,
I can see it.
Yeah,
It
that's
clicked the second you said it.
Yeah, I don't think it's completely there, but I tried as best I could to channel that without just directly copying it.
Yeah, it needs more pyramids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These I like, I'm just, at this point I was just fully committed to the whole abstract industrial weirdness. Who knows what these things are for? They just look cool.
They're for
And I
impaling people.
Yeah, probably. And I really like having these like this grating so that you feel like you're in this really arid sky place. I don't know. It was really fun to do. It could be really frustrating, but it was for the most part really fun to do the episode 2 levels because I could just go nuts with some things and not have to think about how logical it necessarily was, because
I think there's a magic to that where you're just like, at some point it's just like, if you've got something cool that you've already built a foundation to, and you can sit there and just go, what the fuck? Who cares? Just have fun. That's where the real stuff starts coming up. That's awesome,
Yeah.
Which I think is what happened with after you get done with like the second or third level, maybe, whenever things really started shaping together.
In which episode?
On this episode. In this episode.
Basically once. Well, I guess kind of the Escher Labs, but also Infernal Machine, because Infernal Machine's kind of...
Infernal Machine is a breakdown of sanity.
Yeah, yeah.
This is cool.
Yeah.
This was cool. So we worked on this a lot, because it was originally trying to think what was a fun. I think I wanted you to do another super hot power up here, but you're like, nah.
Was that?
I think we changed the. I think we changed the music triggers around this a lot.
Oh, maybe that was it. Yeah. This is so in lore. This is the Nargle energy that they're harnessing, and the Nargle energy is used to activate the portal you get to at the very. It's human sacrifices and Nargle energy equal portal energy, basically.
Yeah. That's how you get to.
That's how you get to the Nameless City.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how there's a lot of things I'm visually proud of in episode 2 and episode 3, but like, I love this red, grading. I'm very happy with how a lot of these things turned out. They're like abstract and weird, but cool to look at.
Yeah.
Light mapping issues.
Yeah, and then I was like, we need to put a coin there.
So this VO. Dave went through quite a bit, and this is what he was talking about with mashing a bunch of different just cool phrases together that foreshadow what's coming next. With the big jump here, I remember I really wanted to make a musical cue too that was kind of funny. So it starts as you're falling, the synth gets louder and louder, and then you fall on what looks like a pillow.
Yep, it's supposed to be a pillow.
And you break your flashlight.
Yeah.
But the visuals and the jump is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the voices of all the VOs and I always love the way this looked. It looked really good in the trailer too. And then we break your flashlight again. And this section we went through a lot because I think there was like more We just use the coins to lead, and I think you were like, "Is it too much?" I'm like, "No, it's perfect," because then like we've got just enough light sources, and I was like, for more light sources, put like rivets and stuff.
Yeah.
Because rivets they work as light sources.
These
And then yeah, and at least enough to get to that switch, and then you hear the Wendigo, and you're like, "Oh fuck! Oh shit! Oh fuck!" And it works really well.
Yeah,
I think
it's a good
wasn't it whenever we were on a call, David, like we were talking back and forth about the music, that after I went down that jump, I was like, I think I like whenever I came down, I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. It's like you should put a pillow at the end of it.
And originally,
did you maybe you did suggest that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like,
yeah. Originally, you had the Wendigo in another part of the room, and I said the Wendigo should come from where the flashlight is, because then you have to turn and look in that direction, and you'll see the flashlight behind him, and you'll know where the flashlight is.
Yeah,
and that worked pretty well.
So this secret is to signify that now you're back down on the ground, because you've been up in the sky for the last however much time. Now you're back down on the ground. I know that the lengths don't necessarily add up of that tube and the tube you went up, but whatever.
That's fine.
Because in the next level, you're going to go underground, and I had to figure out how to get you from way up in the sky to way underground.
I always forget. I always think that this level is after this we get to the Guardian. For some reason I forget that the dig exists.
Well, the dig is really the only one after.
Oh, this is a great part too. This is some good lore right here.
Yeah, here, let's go back. This is my writing, which anyone who's played my other games can probably identify. Oh.
Chat is killing me right now.
Altars built of concrete. Why? What are they saying?
It says, "Why does Dusk guy keep holstering his flashlight in his ass?"
Fed with blood and bone.
Yeah, the music here is good because it gets a brrr, and David originally he only wrote a few things on the wall. I'm like, there should be one on each wall, and then you expect more stuff, and let's put a Wendigo at the bottom. And then we iterated on this a bunch, the altar room.
Yeah.
I really wanted the sound and the sight, like you hit one thing, then you hit the other, and then I wanted Jacob to do a VO. Do you see? Do you understand? And people are like, no, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, it's a bit vague, but basically, they're harnessing the cosmic Nyarlathotep energy. We call him Nargle. They're harnessing the cosmic Nyarlathotep energy, and this is human sacrifice here coming from the grinder, from the infernal machine. Which they've now, the cult-like stuff it's like mechanized. It's not. Yeah. They've just made it into an industry. So now it's the Nargle energy plus the human sacrifice equals portal energy, and we're going to spend the next level following that through a archaeological dig where all of this was unearthed.
This is another one of those times where I was like, add evil laugh. That was my go-to when I didn't know what I was like, add evil laugh if we fuck player.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
hold on 1 sec.
2 more levels in this episode. We're doing alright. I'll probably be done 6-ish. We did episode 2 faster than episode 1.
Why does Dusk keep hiding the flashlight of his...
Somebody said, where can I get the Dusk comic? It's in the Intruder edition. You can get it on Steam or GOG. It's in the goodies folder if you have the Intruder edition, or I'm sure you can find it online somewhere. And we'll be updating it as time goes on.
He was Nyarlathotep was originally called internally by David Nargle because he couldn't pronounce. We couldn't pronounce.
Saying Nyarlathotep is hard.
He's like the Nargle Bargle.
Now you're thinking with portals. Nargle's good friends with Shubby from Quake. Yeah, they are. Because that was a real hard boss fight at the end of Quake. Oh man, that was tough. Nargle was actually based a lot on Chthon. Which is it's pretty obvious. Me and David went back and forth, and we'll talk about Nargle when we get to him. But Chthon and definitely some different modded looks for Chthon were definitely obviously an inspiration. Like, the cracks in his chest with the energy coming out and stuff was very much like Chthon and stuff. The fact that he's just like kind of in the middle there. And if you've seen the SDK screenshot, Zombie already modded Nargle into Chthon's arena there. That stuff will be pretty cool.
Alright, I am back.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a Shubby callback, except you get to fight him, but also, like, it's anything that does like Lovecraftian Cthulhu stuff. There's only so many of them. And I'm surprised that Nargle hasn't been used a lot. I mean, Nyarlathotep was most notably used in I think Persona. He's in Persona games, but there he's just kind of and he was. We'll get to it eventually, but he was literally just. We didn't have a big bad at the end of Dusk until we were almost at episode 3. We were still kind of working off the cult leader, and he wasn't even named Jacob yet. I just came up with Jacob because like that's what a cult leader's name would be, Jacob with a K. It's very it's very old world, Puritan type name. And then someone typed in chat in our Discord, I bet it's Nyarlathotep at the end.
Yeah, and we were like,
I googled Nyarlathotep, and I'm like, oh, this will work. I can make this work.
Oh, I thought you were talking about right before release. I was like, how do they know this?
Oh no! This was like back when we were designing it because we didn't have it. And I was like, that'll work. And then it kind of started. I started turning the wheels in my head. Jacob's working for him. That'll be a thing. And originally the ending was like a little bit. I was like, and then I was like, fuck it. We'll do the Half-Life ending. People will like it.
Funny thing here. So that drop didn't used to exist. This door used to be the transition. I forget why the drop is there.
Because it wasn't. We couldn't figure out a way to transition to a dig, and I probably gave you shit like it's not plausible to be in a dig.
That could be, but this door still has a "no turning back now" prompt on it. So
no huffing, no
whatever. So yeah, the portal energy now that they've created is being piped down through here, because this area is going to lead into an archaeological dig where they first found the portal. Oh yeah, there's Wendigos. Because of course there is. Come on, bud. There we go.
Damn.
This texture right here is ripped straight from Doom. Well, not ripped from. It's there's a texture. There's a texture almost exactly like, pretty much exactly like this in Doom 64. So I just drew my own version of it. Same with this.
I don't know if you know this, David, but AAA artists do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean...
They just redo things from other games, but...
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
I bought this thing on Turbo Squid, let me redraw it now.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a constant argument that I think that, like, Dave and Zag have with me about buying models specifically, because I will not do it.
For some stuff,
but
I think it's fine. I think I always say that thing, like, you don't need to model...
Well, I think it's fine depending on the context. Like, for my own personal projects, I won't do it. I will do it for...
like this, it doesn't. There's no... You can't buy stuff that fits in a game like Dusk, right? But for, like, a game that, like Spacemen or something like that, where it's basically like Unreal Engine 4 space game, or, most double or, even AAA stuff, there's tons of stuff that you could just save time buying. Like, one of the games I'm working on now, putting a pool table in, like the player hub, and like one of our artists was like modeling a pool table. I was like, just fucking buy a pool table on Turbo Squid or something for like $30 and save yourself the 17 hours of making the pool table.
Yeah, it depends a lot on the context. And for my own like creative process, I think it's really important not to do that. But then for like other New Blood games or whatever, it's like, okay, yeah, this could be, depending on the situation, it could be applicable. But for my own stuff, I won't do that. I think it's there's so much that there's so much that good that has happened from me having to work through my own limitations rather than just throwing money at them, that I think it's better to just have to do that.
Sorry, bro, can't relate.
Yeah. Well, and also that like
what? There's a problem I can't throw money at?
Yeah.
How will I solve this?
Yeah, but I mean creatively. Like Dusk, there are things about Dusk that do not look as good as a lot of things about Dusk do not look as good as they would look if a professional modeler or texture artist did them. But it all looks unique to itself. Like, for the most part.
And it works.
It's, yeah. And I think that's very important for my games, for the games I make. I want them to all be unique to themselves, and so then you get, stuff like this, where, is this the best texture ever? No. But,
yeah, chat says it best. Dusk is Dusk.
Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah.
And this section was really cool too because we iterated on this a bunch, and I wanted I wanted to give the player a reason to go out and look into the void, and then kind of feel like, oh man, there might be something out there, and then you get there, and then Jacob starts talking to you again. And we were kind of going back and forth here, especially in episode 3. Is like, are we having Jacob talk too much? Are we doing too much story stuff? Is it getting like? But I think I like the fact that it ramps up and we give players like more story as it gets toward the end. Because I think people want to know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
And I think what we tried to communicate was the fact that Jacob is now like. He's into it, but he's kind of pissed off. But he's kind of like wants you there. He's like, all right, come on, let's. The closer you get, the closer he wants you to get, right?
Yeah. One thing I liked by the end is that Jacob, like, he thinks he and Nargle are on the same team. Like in map 9, where he's like, haha, you've proven yourself, now you can come to us. Because he thinks they're a thing.
Well, another thing, and I think the thing we asked Andrew to do, the game goes on, Jacob's voice gets more like Nyarlathotep's voice. We had Andrew process it so the sound, the way Jacob's voice is, has more of the same sound effects that Andrew used to do to modulate Stefan's voice for Nyarlathotep. So it sounds like Jacob is getting more demonic the closer you get to the end of the game.
Yeah.
I was not afraid. And then we got to this point. So when we started getting to the middle of episode 2 and end of episode 2, beginning of episode 3, I realized that we were kind of Jacob had done this already, right? So you're following in his footsteps, because he was worthy, So as you're going to places that he's already been, he's kind of like taunting you, right? He's like, I was here before. I was not afraid. He led us here. He brought us in. He's kind of taking you on a history lesson of the places he's been because he's already done all this, right? And he's, I think, at a certain point, he might even look at you as kind of, this room. And originally, there was an intoxicator in here, too.
Was it? No, it was the next room.
Oh,
It was
the
the-
next
yeah.
there's a window though.
Yep.
And he kind of sees you as an apprentice in a way.
Yeah.
But I mean, we know
And
who's
that-
pulling the strings the whole time.
Yeah, that backfires on him.
Yeah.
And so this energy, I kind of wanted to do it that you're following the energy down through the level. That's
Yeah.
actually a bit of a it's a bit of a Daikatana thing. There's this actually really cool thing that episode 2 of Daikatana does where there's this constant theme of you following water through various stages, and it's actually really neat, and I wanted to do something kind of like that, but most of this level had already been made by the time I decided on that. And so I kind of just put the energy in, figuring that it's like zigzagging through this place for some reason. You just keep running across it as it's zigzagging through, and figured that would kind of do it. And as you can see, there's a lot more like abstract, sort of Quake-like shapes now, as I was getting better with figuring out what sort of shapes and stuff do you add. Now of course we're in like a place, like I said before, that has no real basis in reality, or like in real life architecture or anything like that. So I felt okay just making these sort of shapes that didn't make any sense. Ooh, jibs. And this is here, it's supposed to look like they dug this out. What the heck? That was weird. But like they dug this whole place out. This is like an archaeological dig where they've... What was that?
Prop jumping.
Yeah. This is like this archaeological dig where they've dug out this this little section of some ancient Lovecraftian building of some sort.
Yeah.
Let's grab that.
Always like that texture.
Which one?
The one that looks like a bunch of jelly beans.
Oh yeah, the jelly bean texture. That one, it's just supposed to look weird.
Jelly bean, jelly bean wall.
Yeah, that's used. I think it's used a lot in episode 3, if I remember correctly.
It is.
Yeah.
Quite a few times.
And then there was that scene, and then I wanted to do more. There was like environmental storytelling. I'm like, put a soldier there, so like the military made it here, and then the cult got him and stuff. Put a dead soldier there, write some shit on the wall. Environmental storytelling.
Yeah, and Jacob, the comic artist, not the antagonist in the game, he did a lot with the comic to try and take some of these disparate ideas that we just sort of came up with on the fly and turn them into a cohesive narrative with the comic, and it's worked pretty well so far.
The treasure hunter thing, so that was like David's original vision for Dusk Dude, and I think as we got towards like episode 3, it was like clearly like Dusk Dude was the guy who lived in Dusk with his family, and then it's very, if you've seen Mandy, it's a lot like that. And I think especially now, the way I saw it, I got inspired very much by Castlevania, the animated one, where it's like basically Dusk Dude was out of town, and while he was gone, Jacob and the cult razed the whole fucking town to the ground, and whoever didn't convert was burned to death. And we have there's some environmental storytelling on that in E3M7 Homecoming. So then Dusk Dude basically goes all red from Mandy, and takes his revenge on the cult. In my mind, my headcanon, Mandy's basically a prequel to Dusk. But originally David was like, he's a...
You cut out there, what?
Yeah, what was
investigating... that? Oh, I cut out?
Yeah.
What was the last thing I said?
Originally he was...
Originally David thought he was a treasure hunter, and I was like, what if he's a journalist, like, covering the cult, and he, like, gets trapped or whatever, but that all kind of went out the window once we realized he lived here. Like, he was a part of the town of Dusk.
And the treasure hunter thing only really made sense in the context of the original concept, which was having Dusk be like a... Well, whoop. There's an Easter egg up there.
That's a good one, too. We can go get it, yeah.
Of it being Dusk being like this cordoned off place where they discovered all this crap and everything went bad. And the original idea was it's like, oh well, in all these ruins they discovered there's also tons of treasure, and so treasure hunters would be coming in and braving all the evil things. But then, once that was really no longer what the story was, it didn't make sense anymore. Even though you still, because all the morale pickups are like gold and jewels and stuff.
It's still like you just find random flawless diamonds.
Which originally was supposed, made a little more sense, and it was supposed to be like you feel better about your whole situation because you're finding the stuff you wanted. Now it makes a bit less sense, but also it kind of works because probably anyone would feel better about their situation if they found a basketball-sized cut diamond.
The armor pickups and treasure and stuff was all from that original stuff.
Yeah.
The twins. And this was like another fuck you boss thing where it's like, yo, there's one boss, there's another boss.
Well, this room used to be different. What it used to be is, it was another sort of, it was like a joke, where what happened was, there we go.
I forgot each other.
Yeah, what happened was, you came in here, I think you came in via this door, maybe even? You came in here, and the walls came down, and there was like 8 intoxicators.
Oh, I remember that.
And then, right as you were like, oh crap, how do I fight them? All of these blades come out of the floor and just jib all of them.
Yeah. And I was like, we needed, like a... Dead. I felt like it wasn't the right... I feel like it wasn't the right, like, level for that or something.
Yeah, which is fair.
I was like, we needed less levity. You should go back and look at the Wife of Intoxicator secret.
Oh, yeah.
And so we came up with the idea, Son of Intoxicator. And then we ended up putting him as a baby in like E1M3 later. Yeah. So he grew up really fast.
Yeah.
But time has no boundaries here. And then we got that letter, which I've tweeted about, and there's been some articles written about it, where a 6th grader who was a big friend. Was a big fan, drew Wife of Intoxicator. He's a really big Dusk fan. He dressed up as a scientist for Halloween and stuff. And his mom sent us this, and we thought it was so cool that we put it in the game as an Easter egg. And his name is actually Caleb.
Yeah.
The kid's name.
That's awesome.
The kid's name is Caleb, so you get a little thanks Caleb achievement for doing that.
Yeah. So now here's our end level door, which is actually fake and has rats behind it.
Ah, rat door, you son of a bitch.
That's the real end level door. I should have done it twice in a row, honestly. Someone says they never got the impression Dusk Dude was from Dusk. I mean, the story's really open.
Yeah.
And part of that openness is intentional, and part of it is just by the nature of us, like, doing all of this on the fly.
As we went along.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like Homecoming and stuff, that's, you're supposed to see kind of like what Dusk looked like before it was all demonified.
Yeah.
And Jacob, at one point I was like, maybe Jacob lived next door or something, because we did that thing where...
Well, no, that is kind of what it implies, right?
Yeah, you can open the garage to one house by a computer in the next house.
Yeah.
Like he was spying on them the whole time. I mean, Jacob probably lived in the town too, but small town stuff happens. But I mean, the obvious overarching theme is that Jacob, the cult, and then the thing, and the military came, but the cult won with the power of the Nargle.
Yeah.
And Jacob, kind of just became the de facto leader of the thing, cult stuff.
Yeah. So here's the Nargle energy coming through, by the way. Or the portal energy, rather. Different.
I thought Dusk Dude was a random soldier who just happened not to get possessed. That could work, I guess.
That's sure, why not? Should I telefrag the Guardian?
Was planning to fuck Dusk Dude. He was watching it now. That's why it hurts to remember.
Yeah. So should I telefrag the Guardian? Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. But
Okay.
originally,
Let's see if
so
I can do
originally this was a way different. I helped design like a bunch of this thing because I wanted it to be more than like just room. Originally, it wasn't just room with the Guardian.
Yeah, and you fought him in super hot mode, basically.
Yeah, in super hot mode. And it was weird. And then I was like, 2 side rooms, and maybe you have to hit switches so you can't just jump past it. But I like the way it turned out. I think it's cool. And I love the fact I asked you, I'm like, can you make it so he teleports in front of you when you try to run away?
Let's see if I can...
and it works, and it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah. It's hacky. There's still a bug associated with this boss fight, unfortunately. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Got him. Telefrag.
A music bug that we
And
should
yeah, the
fix,
Guardian's
apparently.
one of the and the reason for this is so you'd have to hit all those switches and then hit for speedrunning and stuff, so you can just run by it and hit the thing.
Yeah.
You'd have to hit all these 4 switches and then go and do the puzzle on the thing, so you couldn't just like avoid him super easily.
There's the music bug. So the music just starts up again if you never entered here before.
But yeah,
Not a
so
big deal.
the Guardian was one of the first models David ever made.
Yes, it was actually. He was a very early model. Internally, he was called Crocman.
Yeah, Crocman and then Painosaurus. And then this was really cool. I asked Andrew if he could make like a sound like a join us, come with us, join.
Kind of hear it.
I think it was at the end of. It reminds me. I think it was at the end of Fallout 1 when you're in the cathedral.
Yeah.
That's what it was based on. At the end of when you get to the Master in Fallout 1. And this was just really cool this whole way.
Yeah. Let's turn the music back up. What was it?
Oh, you had music all the way down?
Just right there so you could hear the...
Oh, yeah.
Just right there so you could hear... Oh, low tech, because I telefragged the Guardian, right?
Yeah. Yeah, nice, low tech. Yeah, a lot of people don't know, they were like, why did I get an achievement there? Because obviously they've never telefragged.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And this was, you skipped the writing.
Oh, sorry. Oops.
He's playing.
It's just muscle memory because I'm so used to like testing and then skipping through that.
You want to take another short break, 5 minutes, and then
Sure.
we'll do episode 3?
Sure.
Alright, 5-minute reprieve, and then the final episode of the game.
Right.
Alright, now those nerds are gone. Let me tell you about David.
Whoa, hey, hang on.
Oh
I'm still
shit,
here.
Andrew's still here.
Yeah.
Butt rock and dubstep. So when I was listening to Havana Smooth, no, Whole Schultz, I really thought you had it this time. But I got to the end.
all 31 YouTube videos.
Oh my god, it's amazing.
Same guy commenting on them.
Did you screenshot them?
No, I think they're all still there. I'm sure I'll go back one day and have a good laugh.
Painosaurus name. So I'm actually like I'm happy with the decisions that I worked out with David, but honestly, I think keeping Painosaurus might have been. I think he would end up in more like fan art, like Big John and stuff. If his name was Painosaurus, I think the Guardian is like more in war. But given some of the other funny stuff, for some reason, as we got to the end of episode 2, I really wanted to cut back on the funny stuff.